friends, it's Aki Dearest. It feels like it's been like forever since I've actually sat down and had a proper rant since I left for Japan. Also, it's super weird that I'm sitting on this couch because every time anybody sees this couch, all they see is Joey. But getting right into it, I wanted to kind of go over a topic that's kind of a branch over otaku culture, which is K-pop. I just kind of wanted to share my own experiences and my thoughts on K-pop. And I know I have like a bunch of that fandom on this channel, and I know it's like the one thing that I haven't covered yet. But yes, K-pop. With those brightly colored and amazing choreographed music videos, and admittedly catchy beats, and that vibrant sense of fashion, and just endless amounts of extensive groups of pretty boys and best girls. I remember when I first saw it, I was just all like, I have no idea what they're saying, but what is this and when can I find more? Didn't I tell you? I'm both Filipino and I used to have an English accent. And so today I wanted to touch upon K-pop and its influence on myself, otaku culture, and just the world in general. So getting right into it, I was first introduced to K-pop like when I was watching Inuyasha back on Adult Swim, and then one of the seasons, I can't remember, I think it's the 4th ending of Inuyasha that uses the song Every Heart by BoA. To anyone that's familiar with K-pop, that's probably not a surprise to a lot of you. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us in the Western culture were introduced to K-pop through Inuyasha. And even if you didn't find K-pop through there, I'm pretty sure that that's like one of the main doorways through K-pop. And so through there, I love that song so much, so then I wanted to learn more about the singer, which was BoA, and then I started listening to all of her other stuff. And through there, then that's when like the real stuff happened. And from Inuyasha, then through BoA, then I started being introduced to things like Big Bang, Girls' Generation, Tiara, Super Junior, and to FX, which to this day is still my favorite K-pop group. I remember when my eyes first landed on Chu. I went through this phase where I was just thinking of things like,
I want to be part of a K-pop group. Super Junior makes me moist. Maybe one day I'll master how to sing Bubble Pop. Mommy, I am leaving to Korea to get plastic surgery.
Now, as I was growing up, and to this day, I'm still not really the most hardcore K-pop fan, but it was a genre that otaku culture just kind of introduced me to, where I just grew this natural appreciation for it. This was also during my time where I was actually more stronger into Visual K and J-Rock more than I was for K-pop. I'm sorry, but Gact and Miyavi just won me over. I'm so sorry. Now, that was just my personal experience of how I was introduced to K-pop. I'm pretty sure a lot of people back then were kind of introduced in a very similar situation, but believe it or not, there's a lot of people as I was growing up thinking that anime and K-pop was kind of the same industry. Now, I know a lot of us know that that's not the case, but believe it or not, a lot of people thought that. Now, while anime and K-pop should be looked at as two separate mediums of entertainment, they still share a fan base where it's kind of expected, especially during the time outside of Korea where it wasn't really playing at the time on mainstream and on TV. When you like anime and otaku culture, just naturally the fandom will eventually bring you over to Korean culture. But then you later figure out that K-pop actually isn't as popular in Korea as you would probably think. It's kind of like the same thing with anime, where it's actually not that big of a deal in Japan as you would think outside of Japan. It's more of like this medium of entertainment, which is like a pride of the country that kind of introduces you to the culture. But once you actually go to Japan, then you realize that anime is just this thing that everybody knows, but maybe half of them aren't even really into it. Nonetheless, it's still popular, so like if you go to Korea, I've heard that you still hear a lot of K-pop songs in the malls, so it's just this natural thing, kind of like in America where you hear like a lot of mainstream music in the malls, but a lot of people still may not be into it. It's kind of like going to Canada and you think the only things you're gonna hear or see there is Justin Bieber and a lot of maple syrup, but it's so much more than that. I miss you, Tim Hortons. Or like if you're an outsider from America and then you actually came here, you would think that we're all obsessed over like Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift, but no, they're just really two iconic celebrities that we may or may not really care about. It's just this thing that everybody knows but not everyone is really into. So more so, the fandom existed like outside of Korea, and I was within like the K-pop fandom for a little bit, and it was like die hard, like it was hardcore, like into just the bios of every band member. But you know, I guess it kind of makes sense when you're like outside of that country, then you're only limited to so much of the information given about that genre. Whereas in Korea, I'm sure that there's so many advertisements and a lot of like magazines that are talking about the latest interviews of each band member, which is sort of stuff that like we wouldn't have access to outside of the country. So the fandom just kind of becomes engrossed and obsessed with just the limited information it has and the access it has to K-pop. And also my introduction to circle lenses. if it wasn't for K-pop, I would have never known what Pinky Paradise was. Now, as of today, I've noticed, especially like in recent years, that K-pop has played like a more noticeable part within Western culture and also mainly like the entertainment industry itself. It's like it went from deep within the underground fandoms and forums on the internet to the sudden boom of Gangnam Style where it was just being played all throughout the world. It started leaving just more and more people curious about what this genre is and where it was coming from. Now, I noticed a lot of fandoms can become very hipsterish when their favorite thing starts to become popular, even though it's been around for such a long time, but surprisingly, I didn't really see that much backlash when K-pop started to becoming more unveiled into Western culture, which was actually pretty cool. And since living in America, I've noticed that K-pop has kind of been playing behind the scenes within a lot of commercials and a lot of like Easter eggs within television shows. And also back then when I used to work at a movie theater, I think there was this commercial that was playing by 2NE1 and it was for Apple, and I could have sworn that I heard their music in the background. Also, just throwing this out there, the fact that I'm Filipino makes it the inevitable that the word Sundara Park is just going to be thrown in my face eventually. She's like the pride of the Filipinos, even though she's not Filipino, but she lived there long enough, so we'll consider her one. That's so funny to me. So again, it's not really this genre that I was a hardcore fan of, but it was a genre that, again, my natural infatuation with anime just happened to bring me to it, and it will always just be like this unique thing that I'll always have an appreciation for. And if you're like me, your boyfriend may or may not like K-pop, but it will always be this genre that I'm really glad that even when it became popular, the backlash was very minimal from the fandom, and also the new people in Western culture seem to actually embrace it more than I actually thought they would. Unlike anime, where it's more like a 50-50 or 60-40 chance that you might find somebody that will like it, 40% being like when you find someone. But let me know in the comment section down below, how were you introduced to K-pop? What do you guys think of the genre? Or if you're like me, were you more into J-rock and visual K? Or maybe J-pop? And by J-pop, I mean Beyond, Perfume, and Kiari Pamyu Pamyu. Again, put that all in the comment section down below. So, I appreciate you guys for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more anime and otaku related content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!